Okay, people are starting to get on. All right, I love it. People just waiting. All right, let me get all situated here. And let me see, because I'm gonna need to share my screen and stuff. Let's do. Okay, so everybody get on. While we're waiting for everybody to come on, do me a favor, please introduce yourself in the chat. All right, I'm Stacy Rossetti. Hopefully everybody knows who I am. I know this. Is this the first webinar that you've ever seen from me? I'm gonna fix my hair so I look good. Now, is this the first webinar that you've ever seen of me? Or is this like, you know, the 100th webinar that you've seen of me? I wanna know like who's on. And then also what I wanna know is like, who is here? Introduce yourself to me. So are you newbie? Like are you like, I have no idea who I am, or what I'm doing, or who I am, or I have no idea what's going on. All right, so introduce yourself. I already see Deanna. She's I think are you screaming at me, Deanna? You're so excited, it sounds like, right? And yeah, so introduce yourself and let me know what your goals are for real estate. You know, what you want to learn, you know, so now we're going to be learning about marketing strategies here. And you know, marketing is like the foundation of your entire business. If you are not marketing, you are not going to be a real estate investor, right? Sorry, that's just how it is. All right, so we're going to talk about my secret weapon I've never told anybody except for the students that are in my coaching program, okay? I'm going to tell you my secret weapon for finding property. And so please introduce yourself. Everybody has to introduce themselves, all right? So far, there's 44 people on the webinar, and I'm sure there's going to be more coming on over the next couple of minutes because everybody's always late, all right? Everybody's always late. Come on, people. All right. And so while we're waiting for everybody to get on, because I don't really want to get started with the meaty part until, you know, we at least get everybody on so nobody misses it. But essentially, introduce yourself. Have you ever seen a webinar from me before? Are you getting tired of seeing my face? I'm kind of getting tired of seeing my face. And, or like, you know, is there anything that you've ever learned from me that you've actually applied into your life, right? Am I actually, like, I'm doing all this teaching, am I actually reaching people out and connecting out there, people learning from me? That's what I want to know. Are you a newbie? What are you interested in? And you could be interested in Airbnb, you could be interested in wholesaling, rehabbing, whatever, multifamily, whatever you're interested in, put it in, okay? And then also tell me where you're from. I want to know where everybody's from because I am going national, right? And so what that means is I've been teaching people in Atlanta for probably 7 or 8 years now, and I'm really trying to push getting out there and helping as many people as I can. My goal is to get you that first deal if you have not already had that first deal, or the next deal. You know, if you're like struggling over the next, you know, over the last, like, you know, couple months or years, you know, trying to get like, you know, consistent in being a real estate investor, that is what I'm here to do. So basically today is the first webinar. So if you guys don't know me, all right, I appreciate you coming on. And essentially what happened was, if you don't know, like, I see, like March, April, May, we, like, you know, of course, all the COVID stuff happened. And so what I did is I just started doing like a whole bunch of webinars, just free webinars for everybody, just trying to teach as much as I could. And I did, I think, like, I don't know, 9 or 10 or 12 webinars over the course of like a couple of months. So you can go on to stacyrossetti.com, right? And then sign up under stacyrossetti.com for all of the free trainings that I have. And if you go on there, you can find all of our free trainings. You can find these will all be put on there as well too. So you can watch the replays on anything that you've missed. And then also, And then also you can go to my YouTube page, which I'm sorry sucks because I'm like I just hired somebody to do all my YouTube stuff. But essentially like they're all my webinars from last time are on there. So you can go to Stacy Rossetti Teaches and then just like, you know, start watching those. So if you need content to learn how to invest in real estate, I got a lot of free content for you. So you can always just follow me, watch it. Now, so what's going to happen is every Tuesday, pretty much every Tuesday from now until Christmas, outside of like maybe a couple of weeks for Thanksgiving and stuff, I'll be doing a 5 o'clock webinar, right? So on like real estate investing, self-storage investing, all things like, you know, real estate investing, because essentially I had an epiphany over the course of the last couple of weeks. A lot of things are going, you know, a lot of things are kind of like, I'm trying to figure things out really, essentially internally, you know how people are you just going through these changes and stuff. And essentially for me, what I've realized, and actually what was told to me, right? And I'm going to tell this to you guys because this is the secret of life. Does everybody want to know what the secret of life is? If you want to know what the secret of life is, do me a favor, please, and put, yes, I want to know what the secret of life is. Because I actually know what the secret of life is. I know the secret of life. I figured it out. All right. So if you want to know what the secret of life is, put in, yes, I want to know what the secret of life is. And this has to do, honestly, it has to do with anything in life, but I personally feel like it has to do with real estate investing, especially real estate investing. But I've been doing a lot of soul searching over the last couple of months because, you know, I've been like I was on vacation for 4 months. I went on vacation with my family. Can you imagine 4 months of vacation? We traveled around the country for 4 months and we went to 16 national parks in 16 weeks. So while the whole world was freaking out over COVID and, you know, just kind of like, you know, trying to figure out what they're doing and pivoting and changing and thinking. So March, April, May, I got my shit done, right? And then like towards the end of May, I headed up to New York, spent time with family. And then we traveled around the country for 4 weeks. And I'm sure a lot of you are following me on social media. But during those 4 weeks, I'm going to tell you some things happened with me and Pete. A lot of things are happening and we are working our asses off right now to get all that stuff in order and to be able to do the things that we want to do. And I'm super excited to let you guys know that I figured out what the secret of life is. I'm so excited. Okay. So the secret of life is, well, okay. The secret of living. Actually, you know what? I'm going to write it down. Now, so everybody can write this down. And this is going to be, oops, don't let this fall. This is going to be your new mantra. Hang on. This is falling. Let's get this to fall. Okay, hang on. I think something's happening to my thing here. Oh, this is it. I hope this doesn't fall. I'm probably going to break my neck. Who knows? Anyway, let's see. I need help. Who wants to help me? Okay, this is not going to work. Maybe it's going to work. Okay. This falls, sorry, y'all. Okay, let me write it. I'll be very gentle. It looks like it's about to fall. Well, luckily, I don't need this for my presentation. Okay, ready? The secret. Is this like backwards or y'all can see this too? Because backwards to me. Secret to living is giving. All right, this is the secret of life. The secret to living is giving. All right, the secret to living is giving. Right, everybody write this down. The secret to living is giving. Write it in the chat. All right. So let me get this out of the way so it doesn't fall while I'm doing my presentation. The secret to living is giving. All right. The secret to living is giving. So what this means in real estate, I'm going to bring it down to real estate, all right, is that we are all doing these deals. We're trying to get these deals done, right? And we're working our asses off. And I just talked about this yesterday with one of my students in my coaching call, okay? He was like, we're trying to figure out how to do a lease option. All right, he really wanted to do this lease option, right? But he was so worried about that money that he was going to make every single month. I don't know, like, and actually he was going to make like $700 a month for the deal. But he was like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough money to pay for everything. He was literally like, in his mind, I could tell he was like talking himself out of the deal. I don't know if this is going to be enough money to pay on a monthly basis. I don't know, like, I'm offering $225,000 for a deal that I don't know is going to be worth $225,000 and like, long term, right? He was just kind of like, I could tell that he was internal. It's a great deal, but he was talking himself out of it. He's like, I'm going to offer, I made this offer. He's like, but I'm making enough offer just because I want to make sure that I'm safe. And what I told him to do for the deal was I told him to offer $250,000 for the house. All right. Instead of they wanted 225. And I said, why don't you just offer $250,000 for the house? And because essentially, if you calculate it up over like a 5-year period, he would have made like, I think $25,000 over 5 years. And then on top of that, sell the house and made a profit on the house. Right. And so for me, in terms of real estate, especially in terms of real estate, and especially in terms of now that we're going to be getting into all this creative deal structuring over the next couple of years, if you do not know how to structure your deals creatively, you are going to be missing out on a lot of deals over the next couple of years. You've got to learn how to creatively structure your deals, okay? And but he was so afraid about the money that he was going to be making right now. Am I going to have enough money to make, he was just, I'm going to be paying the mortgage. I'm going to pay their mortgage. What's the big deal? Why should I pay them more than their mortgage, kind of a thing? And I was telling him, I was like, listen, I said, like, the secret to living is giving, right? I'm going to tell you that the reason that I am so successful in life is because I give, right? And, and that's what I've been thinking about over the past couple of months is like, I feel like I give a lot, but I'm going to be giving even more because I know that the more I give, the more I'm going to receive, right? And that's especially true in your real estate transactions. So I get that everybody's like, oh, well, how much am I going to make right now? What's going on right now, right? But the truth of the matter is that when you think of the bigger picture, when you think of all the deals that you're doing in the long run, you can make so much more money if you know how to make a win-win situation in whatever you're doing. This is not about just real estate, but whatever you're doing, right? And when you give, you will receive, right? And I think this is a very, very powerful lesson that I've learned. And this is the mantra that I'm always thinking to myself now. Because in the beginning, my mantra, like when I first started out, my mantra was, I'm a money magnet. If you're a student of mine, you know that I'm a money magnet. I'm a money magnet. And I'm just saying this to myself. And the truth is that I'm a money magnet now. Like, people just want to give me money. All right. So now that I've gotten to that stage where like, I kind of know what I'm doing. Now I'm thinking like, you know what, honestly, I need to be giving more. I need to be creating more and more win-win solutions. Not only for like my sellers, my owners, my contractors, especially contractors, because they piss you off all the time, right? But when you understand kind of their philosophy and create a win-win solution with them, and you give and say, like, in return, you're going to receive. And believe me, this is a lesson that I have learned, and it's a very hard lesson that is, it's taken me 10 years to figure this out, especially in the real estate game, right? So I really hope that resonates with you. And I'm a true believer that the secret to living is giving. And if you write this on your wall and just put it on a little notepad, I have it literally like right above my desk, right above my monitor. So I'm looking at my monitor, and then every once in a while I'll look up and I'll see the secret to living is giving. And it's right next to my little mantra that says, I'm a money magnet. And I see those on a regular basis. So I really, really hope that you take that to heart and you start thinking about how you're setting up your life, especially in real estate terms. And this is especially with passive income, because I see a lot of people are scared about getting into passive income, because passive income is really a long-term gain, right? So like, and I see it with a lot of students, and I teach them like, I'm only going to be making this much money right now. Well, guess what? You're going to be making so much more money in the long term. But when you give now, I'm telling you that it's going to be opening up doors for you. It's opening up opportunities for you. And I see this in my own life, and I've seen this over the past, 10 years, and I'm now starting to really, truly understand how powerful it is, right? So think about that now over the course of the next couple years, next couple of months, as we gear up to the downturn. Because there's gonna be, I know y'all thinking it's all good here. I know y'all thinking it's going awesome. Truth of the matter is, it's about to tank. All right. And so we have to be ready as investors, and especially in the creative deal structuring, especially when you start talking to sellers. I know you want to make money right now. I get that. But if you give a win-win solution, if you give a solution to the seller to help to make them feel they're getting a better deal than you, this is what I do. I always make the seller feel like they're getting a better deal than me. Because I know in the long term, I may not make like a bazillion dollars, but it's going to open doors up for me for other opportunities that come in. Does that make sense to y'all? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to y'all. If it makes sense, say yes, like I'm in, I'm going to be doing the power of giving, right? It's all about the power of giving now. Okay. So I'm gearing up for the downturn. I'm super excited. I know people are thinking that the market's going to be crazy, but the truth is that, it can only be good for so long. Okay. Okay, cool. Good. Awesome. People are saying it's making sense. Okay, good. Okay, so now what I want to do, so that's why I decided today, and over the course of the next couple of months, every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, pretty much I'll be doing a webinar, and it'll be all things real estate investing, like some of them are real estate investing, some of it's self-storage. So make sure you follow me, sign up for all of my webinars. It'll be just like this. I was thinking about putting together like a nice little PowerPoint presentation, but you know what? I don't have time for that. I'm busy. So you're just going to get me teaching, right? So this is how my students see me. This is how you guys are going to see me as well too. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys my best kept secret in marketing. I saw Lori here. I saw James here. I'm going to tell y'all, if you guys do this, you can make some money, because this is how I made my money in the downturn. Now I came in like right when the upturn came up. I came in like in 2010, 2011, okay? But what I did, and people ask me like, how did you do so many flips? How did you do so many transactions from like 2010 to 2015? I mean, no, that's like 2011, 2015. I did like a ridiculous amount of transactions. And the reason why is because of this secret. And I've never shared this with anybody, because you know what? Because I was that person that was like, I'm not going to tell people about this because this is my idea. This is mine. And I don't want to share it. And believe me, I'm a sharing person. Everybody here knows I'm a sharing person, right? But I didn't want anybody to know this. But what happened is I had a 2-day boot camp with my students a couple of weeks ago. And we did one day like out in the field, and we went to a couple houses. We practiced doing like walkthroughs on houses and filling out scope of works and stuff like this. And I told them the secret. I told them what I did. And I could see in their eyes, like, I could see they were like, holy shit. Like, if I did that, I could really make some money. Now, whether or not they do that, that's their choice. All right. Because like, I can tell you what to do, but it's your choice to take action. All right. But I could see, and then actually the truth is I could see and I could feel how they felt about me telling it, but also internally, I was like thinking, you know what, that was the right thing to do. right? That was the right thing to do, to actually tell people how I truly made money. So there's really not a lot of people. There's only 88 people on this webinar. So you are the only 88 people that are going to get this. Now, of course, I'll put this like, you know, on the free trainings later. So slowly people will start to get it. But you guys, y'all have an advantage now. 88 people in the world have an advantage. So I hope you take this and you figure out, now actually, where is everybody? Put down your states and stuff. I know a lot of people are in Atlanta. Is there anybody else like outside of the state, or what areas are you in and stuff, so I can have an idea? Minnesota, Illinois. I'm going to tell you that what I'm doing in the areas that you're in, nobody is doing this. Nobody. I don't know, maybe there is, shit, I don't know. But like, you know, like I think that there's nobody doing this, because honestly, I've never heard of anybody saying. And I was talking to my students about it, and I was like, we can't, it's not door knocking, it's really virtual door knocking. So that's how we coined the term. They actually helped me to coin that term. I was just like, I just call it farm areas is what I call it. I was like, oh, it's just farming areas. But anyways, good. So we got a lot of people from all over listening in. Awesome. I'm so excited. So what we're going to do is I'm going to shift now. So really and people are coming on now, so I want to make sure that y'all get this. Okay, first. So now, if you want any of my free trainings, anything, you just go to stacyrossetti.com and then you sign up for the free trainings. And all of the webinars that I do every Tuesday are going to be put on that. We'll probably put them on the YouTube. It's going to take the YouTube. Sound like Bernie. We're going to put them on the YouTube. And so that's why I said I'm not good with like stuff like that. I just delegate that off. But essentially, so you can, eventually they'll get on there. We're trying to get all that coordinated and stuff too, but you can find everything immediately on the Stacy Rossetti site, okay? Now, and then also another thing I want to say, I told you I'm giving, right? So I'm going to be doing two 5-day challenges for free, nothing. I'm not going to charge anything for this. And it's the self-storage one is going to be the last week of October. People are going to be getting emails about this. I mean, you guys will all get an email, but essentially I want you to just keep an eye out for it. So if you're interested, there's going to be a 5-day challenge for storage facilities. If you're interested in storage, it's the last week of October. And then the first week of November is the 5-day challenge for investors, for real estate investors, right? And then what I'm going to do is exactly this, just 5 days in a row for 1 hour. I'm going to be just teaching, you know, going, just kind of like feeding off of everybody and what they're doing, kind of a plan, but not, you know, but not really, kind of just like, it's going to be like me and my coaching students kind of. So I want to make sure you put those dates down. It's going to be the first week of November for real estate investing and the last week of October for self-storage, completely free. I'm going to just do 5 days of just coaching and teaching. Okay. All right. So that is it. Good. Any questions on that? All right. If anybody, you know, hopefully I know a lot of people probably don't know me, but you know, I'm an investor, you know, you'll get to know me, come hang out with me. And let's see what else. Okay. So now I'm going to teach you guys virtual door knocking. Okay, virtual door knocking. Let me put this here so we can see this a better. Now, virtual door knocking. So what this is a technique that I taught all my coaching students how to find how to find properties, real estate, like houses, single family homes and things like this. This is exactly what I did. So basically, the way it worked, okay, is in like 2000, like let's say 2012 and 13, I was in Peachtree City, Georgia, and basically all of the investing that I did was like in the South Atlanta area. And I just kind of stayed within like, you know, 20 or 30 minutes of my house. I did not do a lot of traveling. You know, I was just getting started. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just wanted to kind of stay in my area, right? And then what happened, like the Peachtree City area, if you don't know, is essentially, it's like, it's a place where you don't do like full rehabs or huge rehabs. It's always like the houses are just like cosmetic rehabs, okay? Cosmetic updating. So my rehabs were always like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. So not super expensive. And, you know, you're always just going in and updating the kitchen or updating bathrooms. And that was it, really. So like very simple, okay? And I did that for a couple of years, right? And what happened is that Peachtree City, Noonan, Coweta, Fayette, like there just became like, after a couple of years, there wasn't a lot of choices on like the types of, there wasn't a lot of inventory out there for us to buy, right? And because it was kind of it's like a higher end area. So, you know, like there just wasn't like, it had like the, you know, the dip in the market, but it wasn't as bad as like a lot of other places, you know what I'm saying? So I could get in there for a couple of years. And another thing too is that the houses in Peachtree City are like really expensive. Like, I mean, the cheapest houses there to buy are like 200 grand plus, 250, you know? So like, you know, when you're, you know, doing deals and stuff, you know, sometimes like, at least for me, I like to do the cheaper houses because, you know, I can leverage my money more. So anyways, so what happened was I said, okay, well, I'm going to go and find the next best place. And if anybody knows me for the last like 7-8 years, you guys know that essentially I've always been one of the very first people in an area, right? I'm always the risk taker. I'm always the one that goes first in the areas. And it's because kind of what I do, honestly, is I'm a very good data observe. I look at data. I'm huge on data. All right. So I'm huge on real estate markets. I love to look at real estate data. I'm all about trying to, you know, I go to conferences about like real estate trends and things like this. And I really try to educate myself on the market because I want to be one of the first people in an area. Now, when you're the first person in an area, right? So people like, most people don't want to do this because it's like, it's risky and it's scary, right? And so I totally get that, you know, but the thing is that when you're the very first person in an area, you get the houses for like super cheap, right? You get like super cheap houses, right? So what everybody knows that knows me knows I found an area in Atlanta where I would buy $50,000 houses. I would put $50,000 into them and I would sell them for $150,000, or I would buy them for $30,000, put $50,000 into them and sell them for $120,000, right? Somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 is where I was. Now, can you buy houses for that price now anywhere? I don't know, you know, but you're going to get the formula, the idea of what I'm going to do and how I do it. Okay. So that you can apply it. Now, how the real estate market is right now is, right? And you can put this in the conversation if you think I'm a bunch of BS or whatever. But what I personally feel and what I know from the data is there is a serious housing crisis in America. Serious. There is not enough inventory in the world to, you know, come to bring, you know, to sell for all the people that want houses. There's not enough rentals. There's not enough apartments. There's not enough single family residents. There's just not enough housing. We have an especially affordable housing right now. There is a serious issue with this going on. So for me personally, my entire investing career, I've always been focused on affordable housing. And this is what I'm good at. When I go above 300,000 for a house, like I'm not good at that. Now those are custom houses and you have to customize everything, you know, and you know, I'm very cookie cutter. I like to get my shit done. All right. I like a scope of work. I like to just one after the other. Okay. So, you know, so while I was rehabbing homes and I got very good at finding property, essentially I was also good at like really kind of fine tuning the internal process of my construction business. Okay. And so basically, what I did was I started trying to figure out, like, you know, where the next areas, the hot areas could be. All right. Could possibly be. All right. And you do that by looking at your data. Now, somebody asked me, like, where do you get your data? How do you look at this? Like, personally, so internal data for like the area that you're in, the best place to get this is from real estate agents, realtors. Okay. Now, if you're not a realtor, actually, who is a realtor in here? Say you're a realtor right here. Okay. So if you're a realtor, and you know that you can go onto the MLS and you can pull all that data up. Or you can just pull like, where's the hottest trends, like where's everything selling, and you look at that. And essentially I had a realtor that like essentially listed my homes for me. And so I said, like, send me every day, send me everything that I had. He also gave me access to, to his account, but I never went in because I was like too busy. I just had him do all that. And so, so I was like, oh, you need access. No, you don't need access. Essentially, just you need a realtor to send you that data. So ask a realtor, say, look, can you do me a favor and send me the market data for 2019, 2020 on like these areas? And these are the areas that I'm interested in, and see like what the hottest areas are. So like, let's just say you're from like Orlando or something, or around Orlando, right? So you would be able to get that information from a realtor, and it would just be like, and it's kind of boring. I'm telling you, it's kind of boring to look at that. Has anybody looked at this data before and like told me like they love looking at the data? Now I like to look at the data, but I look at, for instance, like days on market. I look at like, what are like, and it'll show you in like in the MLS, it'll show you like what are the hottest areas right now, what is selling the fastest, or you can see like, okay, what's not selling the fastest right now, but what are maybe some of the up and coming areas. And when you look at that, when you look at the data, you can tell like, okay, this area looks like it could be an area that could be like a hot area. Okay. So I was always like a trendsetter, and I always wanted to be in the area that was going to be the next hottest area that nobody could fathom. So I ended up in Decatur, Georgia. And Decatur, Georgia. The Decatur area in Atlanta. I know a lot of people from Atlanta are here, but the Decatur area in Atlanta, essentially, I could buy houses for $30,000 to $50,000, and then put $50,000 in them and sell them for 120. Now, of course, that area skyrocketed. You don't have that area anymore, so you can't do that area. But essentially, you need to find areas that could be like this. All right. And it's just really based on your area, what the price points would be, right? So I'm not 100% sure what all your price points are going to be, but essentially what you want to do is you want to stick around a $50,000 rehab or less. Okay. And a typical rehab is going to be like 50 grand. I mean, if you can do less than 50, I mean, essentially if you do like a new roof and new, electrical and HVAC and plumbing and like flooring and whatever, like painting inside and out and stuff. And things are expensive now. Is anybody doing rehabs right now? Rehabs are very expensive right now. Prices, lumber is like huge. Contractors are just like charging an arm and a leg, everything. All right. So like, you just have to know that like, a typical rehab, when you look at a house, you're like, yeah, this looks like it could be like just updated, this could be like 50 grand. It just is. Anybody, how many of you guys are seeing this? All right. So, and like if it's a rental rehab, it'll probably be like 30 to 50 grand. Rental rehabs aren't as much as like a typical rehab. So anyways, so the point is that what I did is I extracted that data from the MLS. I started looking, I said, where are going to be the areas that I could focus on? And I really focused on affordable affordable housing, which is like 200,000 or less, but the sweet spot is right around $150,000. That was my personal plan. And what I did was I would buy houses for 50. I would put 50 into them, sell them for $150,000 on average. Okay. Or actually I started at 30 and ended up at I started at 30 and ended up at 80 over time. So over the course of like 2013 to 2018, like those prices went up. Right. And then after that, it just got out because then it started to be like too expensive for me. But so anyways, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you what I did. So I drove around, all right, and I tried to really get to know all the areas, and I tried to find areas that I would say like, okay, where does it fit this model? Where does it fit? Where can I find a $50,000 or less rehab? That is the key. Where can you find a $50,000 or less rehab? If you have any ideas in your mind, put them in here, right? And And it doesn't really matter what the price point is. It's just that as long as it's like, it's considered affordable housing. And usually like when you get up to like a $300,000 house, it's not going to be, you can't do a $50,000 rehab on a $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 house most of the time, right? It's usually like a full gut and you're like doing everything all new, all right? So I'm talking about updating affordable housing. Updating, where can I find areas that you can update affordable housing, right? I'm going to tell you, if you can stay under 200 or less, and the sweet spot is $150,000, you will be able to rehab all through the crisis, all through the downturn, okay? And you will be able to wholesale, because there will be buyers out there that will want these types of houses, okay? So does everybody get that? Are y'all getting that? So in your mind, now that you're thinking where you're at, Minnesota and Illinois and West Virginia, where are the houses being sold that are $200,000 or less, that the rehab would be around $50K or less? Okay. And I just got off a call yesterday with like a hard money lender. We had a webinar last night for the Southland area. And there was a hard money lender, and he said like the only houses he's lending on are just like $50,000 rehabs. That's it. And he said, that's what they're focusing. If you come in and you show me like a house that needs to be gutted or anything, he's like, we're out. We're not doing those. So if you want to, hopefully it's just you, Terry, because I mean, I'm moving around. I'm not frozen. Do I look frozen to y'all? Okay, good. All right. All right, good. All right. So I'm telling you that from a hard money lender's perspective, all right, and from a rehabber's perspective, right, $50,000 rehabs are going to be where you want to be. Has anybody done a $50,000 rehab before? Like type in the thing like, yeah, I do 50,000. No, I've only done 100,000. No, I haven't done any rehabs. Who has done like, you know what a $50,000 rehab is, right? Okay, yeah, see Victoria, she's like, I only done gut rehabs. That's too much work, Victoria. Are you tired of those or you still want to do guts? All right. Too much work with the guts. Yeah, so much work. Exactly, right? So let's stick to 50,000 rehabs or less. And I'm going to tell you that if you couple, like if you couple creative deal structuring with rehabs that are $50,000 less, or you get a hard money lender that will lend to you on a $50,000 rehab, you are going to rock and roll over the next couple of years. I know, because I've done it. All right. So all right, so now that you know, so in your mind, I hope you're thinking, where are some areas around me? Where are areas that I can buy houses for, or I can find houses for $50,000 rehabs? All right. Okay, so now what you're going to do, and this is what I do, all right? And this is exactly what I'm going to share. I'm going to share my screen with you. And I'm going to show you kind of how I do this, all right? And that's all it is virtual, right? So I say you can do this in your underwear. I don't have any pants on right now. I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. So I wouldn't do that to y'all. That's kind of weird, right? Anyways, I'm just kidding. All right. So I'm going to share my screen if I can figure this out. Yes, I can figure this out. All right. All right. Okay, so I saw, y'all can see me, I hope. Let me see if I can figure out, like, where's the chat? Hang on, let me just see if I can pull chat up here. Chat, yeah. I don't know how to do this. Y'all can see me? Y'all can see my screen? Okay. Zoom is like so hard to figure out sometimes. Just want to make sure. If you can see me, put in the Q&A, because I can see. Oh wait, here it goes. Chat's here. Okay, good. Okay, good. Y'all can see me. You can see Google Maps, right? You can see my screen in Google Maps. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, let me move my phone, my camera here so y'all can see me, because I'm going to be here now. Okay. All right. So now we're going on to Google Maps. All right. And we are going to look for something. I have not even done this. Right, I haven't done this, like I haven't figured this out or anything. I'm just gonna like wing it with y'all, right? So I'm gonna show y'all how easy it is. Okay, and I'm gonna say like, okay, so we know, like I saw Philip, he put like Clayton County, Jonesboro, whatever he put in there, right? So let's just put Jonesboro, because I know in Jonesboro, in Georgia, this is like an area where you could buy, like you can find areas where you can do $50,000 rehabs. Okay, these areas are like kind of rental houses, rental houses that could be in this area. And what happened with Decatur was that honestly, it was a crappy area. It was a crappy area. It was a rental area. But what I did is I started to go, okay. I started to really do rehabs like in like block by block by block. All right. And so this is how I feel like I'm one of the trendsetters in creating Decatur to what it is now. And Decatur sells like houses like $250,000, $300,000 now, like super expensive or more. I don't know, right? Right. So I was in Decatur back in like 2012, 13, 14, when people were like, you're going to get shot, And I was like, all right, we'll see. So, and so like you want to, and that's what happens is like, essentially like I started in there and all these other investors started and just like all of a sudden it just started blowing up. And now everybody wants to live in Decatur. It's like the best place ever. Right. Right. And then I got out like way before that. But because I like to spend houses, like I like to spend $20,000 to $80,000 on a house and then put $50,000 into it and sell it for like less than 300, like 250 or less. That's what I like to do. Okay. So we're in like Jonesboro here. Let's zoom out. Everybody can see the screen and let's try to find. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to find some subdivisions, right, that would fit the bill, right? Some subdivisions that would fit the bill. And you're going to farm these subdivisions. All right, that's all I do. That's my secret. I farm subdivisions. So I like when I was going around and buying all these houses, right? One of the things that I did is I had my like virtual assistant farm subdivisions for me. Because what happens is like I found a house in Decatur and then I went and like bought that house. And it was like, I think it was probably like the first time that I ever found it probably was on the MLS. All right. And I bought this house. I remember it was a little tiny house, like 1,000 square feet. It was like a 2-1 and it was 1,000 square feet. And we made it into a 3-2. Right. And we didn't change the footprint of all. We just like squeezed another bedroom in, squeezed a bathroom in, somehow just reconfigured it and made it into a 3-2. Right. And I put it on the market and all I could do really was just cross my fingers that it appraised when we sold it. I put it on the market for 100 and that one's like, I bought it for 30, I put 50 into it and I sold it for $120,000. And literally that was the very first house I ever did the way that I'm showing you right now. And I had to cross my fingers that, that it appraised. All right. Because, you can't, but I mean, the house looks so freaking awesome. Like how would it not praise for 120 grand? Right. But it was just in the area where it was just like, there was no comps or anything. Okay. So what I did is I made my own comps. I created my own comps. Okay. And this is how I learned. I learned how to do this by accident. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in and you're going to find subdivisions or areas. That would be a subdivision, but like kind of like an area where there's like, houses like in blocks. Like anybody have any addresses of anything in Jonesboro or anything that I can use, like where it's like a subdivision or an area where that it's going to be like this price range and then this kind of like, like a subdivision that needs work. Like I had a student, we went over and looked at their house and I drove in and I was like, this is like the perfect subdivision for my, for the door knocking, for the virtual door knocking. Okay. Well, if y'all don't have any suggestions, then what I'll do is I'll just start looking. So you're going to go into, let's see, Jonesboro, and you're going to zoom in, right? Somebody says Lee's Ridge. Okay, we can look up Lee's Ridge. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go right into satellite imagery. All right. And you're going to say like, you're going to just zoom in And what you can do is you can do exactly what I said. First of all, go on the MLS. And this is exactly what I told my students. I forgot, but this is what I told my students, like go onto the MLS and search for houses $50,000 or less, or $80,000 or less. Okay. And then figure out which area those houses are in. Okay. And then that's the area that you farm. All right. So if anybody has access to the MLS, let me know if you can find any addresses that fit this. I'm looking over there, but like over here. But like essentially, let me know if you find any addresses that fit this, that are houses that are on the MLS, $80,000 or less. Okay. And I'll show you exactly how that works as well. But so as you can see, like when you zoom in to like Google Maps, all right, and I don't know what these houses look for, but obviously you can see here's a subdivision, right? Here's like a little subdivision right here, right? And you can kind of just, you look and see where these subdivisions are, and what you're going to do, and as you can see, as you look through, like look at this area right here, and you can see here's another street. I'm sure this is Reeves Creek. This is probably like some sort of like subdivision, Reeves Creek, Allen Woods, all right here, right? This is all some sort of a subdivision, okay? Now, I don't know what these houses are worth, but what I'm saying is that when you go onto the MLS and you find houses that are $80,000 or less, and then you say, look, this looks like a good house. It needs some work, if this is the kind of house it would be. And then you go to that house right on the Google Maps, okay? And then you're going to see like the whole subdivision, right? You're going to see this whole subdivision here. All right, so you can see now, like, I don't know how much these houses are worth or whatever, but you can see like you have Alden Woods, Alden Ridge, Opal Woods, Alden, Reeves Creek, this kind of thing as well too. And what all I do honestly is I figure out, like I get somebody, this is what my office manager did, was to figure out all the addresses of this place, all the addresses. And so how many houses do you think are in this little area right here? What do you think? What do you think are in this? Let's just say that these houses are, worth $50,000, or you can buy them for $50,000 or $80,000 and put 50 into them. Good, we'll come up some addresses, good. So if you how many houses do you think are in this subdivision? What do you think? I'm guessing probably maybe 50, 100, something like this, right? So, so you're going to basically have a VA, or you do this yourself. If you don't have a VA, VAs are not expensive, I promise, but essentially you do this yourself, and you're going to figure out what all the addresses are of this property, right? So, and the only way you can really do that, or actually the way that I do that, is through Zillow. That's how I do it, right? And, or you can also use Landglide if you want to pay, but that's an app that you pay. But essentially, so let's go into Zillow. Let's type in this address. Somebody said 42 Haver Drive. 42 Haver Drive in Jonesboro. Okay. Okay. So this is this beautiful crappy house here, and this is perfect. This is a house that would be, you buy it for 80, you put 50 into it, and you sell it for $160,000, something like this. All right, perfect house. So now you see over here is where you're going to be able to see, like, don't just take off the price. I'm not sure how to do that, actually. Can you take this off? I'm not sure how to, but essentially, like, you can see in Zillow, right, where Haver is, and you could be like, okay, what is this house address? And then, have somebody else do this, right? If you don't want to do it, but this is 8251 Dunlin Lane, okay? All right, and then next here, you see this one here is 8237 Dunlin Lane. So you're sitting there and you're just like, every single one of these houses, honestly, look at these houses. They all look, this one's $9.14 million. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good deal there. Who's going to get that one? But anyway, so this one sold for $72,000, right? These are all, look, this one sold for $120,000. I can guarantee you that they bought that house for 50 grand and put 50 grand into it. Or maybe they bought it or something like that, or bought it for 30 or 40 grand and put 50 grand into it. something like that. So this is the perfect area for something like this, okay? Now, as you can see, right? So you just, all you're doing is you're doing what I call virtual door knocking, which is you're going to sit there and it's time consuming. I get it. It takes time. All right. Anything that's going to work is going to take time, but you're going to go through this subdivision and you're going to list out every house right in here. And guess what? You're going to skip trace that list. You're going to mail them. You're going to call them. You're going to text them, and you're going to email them. And you're going to ask them if they want to sell their house, not yours, but theirs. Yeah. This is exactly what I did. Okay. And so what happened is in Decatur, I bought that first house on the MLS. And then so now it's like, okay, I bought that house, this house right here. I bought that for $72,000. I fixed it up. I'm going to sell it. Cross my fingers that it sells for at least, even if I break even, it's okay, right? But if I make a little bit of money, it's all good. And then I start farming this area. I started to farm that area. And what happened is in that area, within that like 5-block radius, 3 or 4 or 5 other people wanted to sell them their houses. And then I started to build out. And I did one house. Right. And I got it. And I got one rehab done. And then after that, I got another one right around the corner done. And guess what? My first comp was the comp for that second one. And then the next time I had another one right around the corner, and those 2 comps for that one. Right. And then I literally, and everybody knows this, if you know me back in the day, you know that I was in one part of Decatur and I just farmed that whole area and did as many rehabs as I can. And I started going out a little bit more. And then there was like a huge, big section of Decatur that I was in, and I would go out a little bit further. Right. And that's exactly. And guess what happens when you do this? Guess what happens? Every single one of your rehabs is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. There's no thinking, right? And it would take me literally 5 minutes to come up with the scope of work. So yeah, the first, second, and third time that I did this, it took me a while to figure everything out. And then, but what happened was that every scope of work just got better and better and better, because it was almost exactly the same, except for I would take like, oh, I forgot that and I forgot that. Let me add that to the next one. And my scope of works got so good that essentially, I became cookie cutter. And then my contractors that I worked with, they knew exactly for every single house. I would meet the contractor at the beginning of the deal, and then I would meet the contractor at the end of the deal. And we would do the first walkthrough and then the punch walkthrough, because he knew exactly what he was doing to every single house as well too. And that's how I scaled up my rehabs to be able to do 10 or 15 at a time. And I'm telling you, it all started with this. It all started with the foundation of farming an area. And I went to a conference this past week, a coaches conference, essentially on how to be a better coach, for real estate investors. But I met a guy there, and he's from Houston. And he's in the process of developing a software. This is amazing, right? He's in the process of developing a software where you can do 200,000 texts at one time. 200,000 texts at one time. Now, granted, he does a ridiculous amount of wholesale deals. He's a huge wholesaler in one of the biggest in the country. And and he can afford to develop the software. He's only developing it for himself. That's it. He's like, I'm not selling this thing. It's like my secret weapon, But what he does is exactly what I do, except for I'm doing a little tiny subdivision, and he's doing an entire city. So what he does is he'll text out 200,000 text messages to everybody in Marietta. He's like, I'll just do all of Marietta, and I'll send out a text message that says I'm looking, hey, I'm looking for houses in the area to buy. Are you interested in buying? I'm looking for a house right now. Whatever text message, right? And he says he'll get if he sends out 200,000 text messages, he'll get thousands and thousands of calls. So essentially you have to have the infrastructure set up for that, right? That's just kind of his thing. But But essentially we are doing the exact same thing. So a lot of people teach, and I teach this too in my coaching, it's like the foundation of your business is your marketing, consistent marketing. Every single one of my students in my coaching program, they're all mailing out letters every single week. And it works, believe me, it works to do this because my students are getting deals. But this is another strategy that you can utilize. So you can literally try to figure out where you can find these areas, right? $80,000 or less. You can stay with affordable housing, right? You want to stay in that cost, right? And then you want to find houses that are $50,000 rehabs or less, right? And a $50,000 rehab is like, yeah, this needs to be updated, right? And that's like in your mind when you walk through, it's like, yeah, it needs to be updated, okay? And then you want to go through and go here on Zillow, and you want to put all these addresses into a list, all right? And you want to skip trace that list, all right? So it's going to cost you a little bit of money. It doesn't cost that much money to skip trace, like 100 names. It can cost you like a couple dollars. But anyway, and you're going to get, when you skip trace it, you'll have the address, you'll have the phone number, you'll have the email, and then you have like 5 different ways of touching, right? You can mail them, you can text them, you can call them, you can leave a voicemail, you can do a voice blast, or you can email them. And that is my marketing secret on how you can become cookie cutter in the industry. Okay. So that is basically how it works. So let's go into questions. Anybody have any questions? Yes, for my services, I personally use IDI for my skip trace tracing services. Now, there are different levels of skip tracing, okay? There's like the cheapest, right? So you can pay like pennies to get it skip traced, but guess what? That data is shit, okay? And then the more that you pay, the better the data is, all right? And it goes all the way up to like $1 a name, okay? So IDI is $1 a name. The IDI is the most expensive. And now if you go onto southatlantaria.com and you click on partners, you'll see IDI right there. So go there and sign up. If you're going to sign up through IDI, sign up through that link so I can get paid. All right. So for referring you guys, right? And so that's just like an affiliate link, but essentially we use IDI is what we use. So I'm okay with paying the highest amount of money because I want the highest level of like skip tracing to be done. But outside of TLO is like the highest. I'm not going to go there, but like essentially IDI now. And then underneath that would be something like American Tracers, which is also an affiliate of the South Atlanta RIA. So you can find it under southatlantaria.com. and go to partners, and American Tracers is the next level down, a little bit cheaper, but good data. And then under that's like batch skip services or something like that, which is like super cheap, and the data is like okay, all right. But when you're doing like 50, like we do, like we're mailing out letters, like we mail out probably I'm guessing about 200 to 300 letters a week is what we're mailing out, okay. But we do land and storage is what we do. And we're getting like, you get like maybe, who knows, 10 to 25% back. I don't know. And then my office manager, she skip traces and she goes in and she skip traces. And actually, I want her to actually get like good data. I don't want to waste her time. Right. So IDI is the best. And then American Tracers is under that. And then batch skip services is under that. Okay. So that's how that works. Now, yes, IDI. Go to southatlantaria.com and click on IDI Consulting, I think, or whatever it's called. All right, if you want to talk to them. Okay, what CRM are you using? You do not want to know what CRM I'm using. I use Infusionsoft. Okay, do not use Infusionsoft. It's called Confusionsoft, right? Unless you're like a data software person that like loves to look at data and like put like, and like, you know, to piece things together. And like, that's just how like I think. I don't know why, I just do. So don't use Confusionsoft. All right. Confusionsoft is like when you're, and actually Confusionsoft is kind of expensive. All right. So don't use what I'm doing. Okay. I'm going to take this off maybe, and that way y'all can just see me. Any questions also on like the Zillow, how I'm, yeah, how, oh, I got questions here too. And like anything with also make sure that you put any questions for, I'll move this here. Now's the fun part. I just get to answer y'all's questions. Come on, ask me anything. All right. And I'll take some time to answer some questions for y'all. So now, what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh yeah, CRM. The CRM is, CRMs are Constant Contact or MailChimp. I see mostly people are using MailChimp, but a lot of people use Constant Contact as well too. And I think for like the first 500 names or something, it's free, or maybe $10 a month. And then as you build your names up, I think it's like it costs more money. That's basically how all CRMs work. Now, what you could do is you could use like a software like FreedomSoft, or REI Pro or RealFlow. And that's like this all-encompassing software that you can use like manage your whole business. Now I'm old school. Like when I started, none of those were around. So like I just use like Google Drive and like Sheets and stuff. That's how I do it. But there are softwares now, like, you know, like PropStream and like whatever. If anybody has any softwares, just put them in the chat for everybody, right? And it kind of just manages everything for you. Like it can pull comps and everything that you need, all right? So if anybody recommends any of that, like the only affiliates I have are under South Atlanta RIA, but anybody has anything else, y'all can just do that. Okay, cool. Hey, Donna. All right, thanks for coming on. Okay, good. Let's do some more questions. Okay, so this is recorded and this will be put on the free trainings. This is recorded and this will be put on my free training. So stacyrossetti.com, you go and it says like, sign up for free trainings. And then you sign up and then you get all my free trainings, okay? All right, there, okay? So anybody's asking. Sharon is asking, I'm interested in your mentoring. Awesome. If you are interested in my mentoring, go to stacyrossetti.com / I think beginners masterminds. Let me check. And let me see. Let's do this. If you're interested in my mentoring, I'm here for you. I want to help as many people as I can. But you have to set a phone call up with me. I'm not going to be going over all that stuff right now. You guys set a phone call up with me to talk to me. Like I only want the serious people to be in my coaching program, okay? But anyways, if you go to stacyrossetti.com, as you can see, it says Super Secret Investor Society. I have a storage mastermind and a beginners. Here's the beginners mastermind right here. And beginners like essentially is, oh, sorry, let me see. I don't know if you can share this. Beginners mastermind is like, it's for beginners, right? But like actually pretty much most of the people, I think it's like a 50-50 split, but like half of them are already done deals, like a couple of deals, and they want to like scale up and like just like, okay, I've done these deals now, like how do I really make this into a business? And then half of them have not done any deals, right? So, but it's just group coaching. So it's group coaching. I'm here to coach you, hold you accountable. Okay, but so you can go right here to stacyrossetti.com / beginners mastermind. It costs $100 to talk to me. All right, so you got to be serious about this. All right, if you're not serious, then don't pay $100. Okay. I just had, you know, honestly, I just had like way too many people like scheduling and then not showing up, and it just pissed me off. So I was like, that's it. From now on, pay $100. What I noticed is if you pay $100, you show up. All right. All right, cool. All right, let's do some more questions. Is it better to send letters or postcards? All right, I mean, essentially, I do letters. I'm a letter type of person, okay? Postcards for me, but some people do postcards. If you do postcards, a lot of people do postcards because they don't want to spend the money for the letters. So actually what I say is just test. What I do is I separate everything by color, okay? So like, let's just say you find like 5 different subdivisions. All right. And then you say, and then what you do is you print it out, your letter, and then you put it into a color envelope. All right, and then you say like, okay, Lee's Creek, and actually we didn't go into like doing an example. So if y'all want me to do that, I will. But essentially like Lee's Ridge or whatever it is, that's going to be like a red envelope with like a green marker. And then Haver Ridge or whatever we were at, like that's going to be like a green envelope with like, you know, a red marker or something like this. Okay. And because, you know, you have to, like in these subdivisions, you only have like 50 or 100. So it's not like you're going to pull this to a fulfillment company. Like you're just going to have to sit and do these yourself. Like that's what my office manager did. She just like mailed our letters for us. Right. So you're going to have to just sit and do it. And like, you know, watch like, you know, some Twilight and like, you know, the Twilight Saga, and then sit there and do all your like, you know, your video, you know, your letters while you watch it. Is anybody a Twilight song? I'm like totally, I like Twilight. I'm old. That's how old I am. I was like, that was like the movie back in the day. Anyway, so, and then like, so then I switched, and then every single subdivision has a different colored envelope. So what happens is when they call you, you ask them like, yo, like what color envelope were you? Do you remember? And they always remember. Oh yeah, I got a green envelope. I got a red envelope. I got the black envelope. Black is like with silver. So you can do like pink and purple, and you can just like switch it all up or whatever, you know? And then that way you can keep track. You have a master spreadsheet of all your different tabs of subdivisions, and then all your addresses, and you have columns. And you're like, yeah, this person called, you know, and you can keep track. Like, and then overall, you can be like, okay, this subdivision is really like, they're really hungry right now. And this subdivision, like nobody wants to sell anything, right? You can keep track of all your different subdivisions that you're farming and managing, okay? All right, cool. Let's see. When starting out in questionable areas, crime safety issues, does this affect quality of contractors willing to work on the property? No. No, it doesn't. I mean, honestly, with contractors, I mean, well, now the thing is, remember that contractors are, you know, they're all like, you know, they're going to be, the only thing with contractors are going to be like super expensive, you know, so just make sure you put that into the budget. But essentially, there's a lot of contractors out there. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of contractors getting into the game, right? Because they think like, oh, you know, like contracting is expensive now, and everybody, we can just, you know, we can charge whatever we want. So there's a lot of new contractors too that are hungry. The contractor that I hired was like it wasn't really a new contractor. They knew what they were doing, but they were like, had been working on commercial properties and had wanted to switch over to residential. And so they were just like, you know, and also I was providing volume for them, right? So like if you do a one-off rehab, of course the prices might be more expensive. But what happens is like at one time, I mean, in 1 year, I think we did like 23 rehabs with one contractor, and he was managing all those contractors. So guess what? Those numbers became like super low because he knew that he was also getting this volume as well. So it's really all about like, I think all about volume for contractors and how much work you're going to provide. And that's kind of what you do is you give them that stick. Like, hey, I got this process here. This is going to be an awesome process. I'm going to set this up and we're going to be rocking and rolling. And like, but I need a contractor that's going to want to work with me on my prices and stuff. You can't like gouge me, because essentially I'm going to give you like, how many rehabs can you handle? Well, you can handle 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 rehabs. Okay, well, I'm going to give you that many rehabs. So you have to make sure the prices are working for all of us so that we create this win-win situation, right? Remember, the secret to living is giving. So essentially like you give some to him and he'll give some to you, right? Okay, and then also in terms of crime and stuff, yeah, these areas are like, you know, yeah, these areas like you'll put a dumpster out, and the next day, like it'll be full of mattresses. Okay, so it's that kind of a place, right? But your job is to like, you know, to change the mentality and to really kind of, you know, fix that area up. I mean, that's what we do as investors, right? So yeah, so just be prepared with that. I had many problems, so we would just like pack everything into the back. And then we'll just bring the dumpster in, throw everything out, and bring everything out. Every single cage has an HVAC unit on it. Every single HVAC unit has a cage. Every single house has an alarm, right? You have to do this for all these houses. So yes, you have to be careful. Okay. What other questions? If you had a question, repost it if I missed it. With it being a seller's market and houses below 250 flying off the market, do you have any tips to be competitive with offers but still getting houses at a good deal? So these houses, like I said, these houses you saw, these 50 to 100,000, these 80, 75, $80,000 houses, these are out there. These are out there, right? And so you have to just figure out in your area where where you where it's going to be a good fit for you. You know what I'm saying? Like where in this area, where in this city are these areas that can be gentrified? And I know that's like a horrible word, but essentially that's what it is. Like, where can we really fix up these areas? You know, where is a need for us for this housing? Okay. And let me know if I answered your question or not. Just re-ask it if I didn't. Is your method to find 1 or 2 properties that meet your price rehab criteria and then gather all the other addresses in the area, skip trace them? Yeah, so like what I would do is, I mean, essentially what I would do right off the bat is go to the MLS, find houses that fit this criteria, and then start farming that area. Okay, start farming that area, right? So that means you've got to, so you say like, okay, here's a good one. It was 72,000 Haver Drive or whatever. And now I know this is going to be a good fit because I know I can, if I fix this house up, I could sell it for X amount of dollars, right? So you want to make sure that you have a good spread, right? So you're going to make, and actually on these types of houses, you're only going to make like 20 grand. Now you want to make sure that your ROI is around 15% when you run your numbers, okay? But essentially you want to stay around 15%, and in the end you're going to make like 10 to 12%, right? Because things always come up and stuff. But essentially like the key is that rehab $50,000, and can you make that ROI of 15%, you know, something like that. That would be the best way to look at that, okay? Okay. And then after that, you say, okay, like this is my area, and I'm just going to hone on this whole area. Like I have a student that's like Douglasville. That's like he lives in Douglasville, and I'm like focused on Douglasville, and he's like literally just farming areas in Douglasville. It's a perfect area. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about in your area. You know these areas where it's like they just need some loving. Your job is to give them some loving, right? Okay. I'm going to start here. Okay, so Victoria's saying bye. Terry's saying thank you. Okay, which conversion rate from skip trace to deal do you experience? What conversion rate to skip trace to deal? Very, very low. Very, very low. Very, very low. Okay, so let's say that I farm 50 of the, like let's say I mail out letters to 100 of these, or I skip trace text, whatever I do. Out of 100 houses, like 1 or 2 are going to call you. Okay. And out of the 1 and 2 or 3, maybe 1 hopefully will want to work with you in the beginning. And so then now what you have to do is the key is in the follow-up. So then you get that 1 house down. So that's why you're doing like 5 or 6 different areas. You get that, finally you get that 1 house. And then after that you say, okay, now let's do it again. Right. And then you're going to farm it. And the same letter goes out like every month. I would do like a letter like every month or every 6 weeks or something like this. And I would text them like every couple of weeks until they're like, you know, they're just like, you know, either dead or like, you know, I don't know. They just scream and yell at you or whatever, you know, like you don't want to give them a heart attack. But essentially like if you're not hearing from somebody, that's like you should still be trying to get in contact with it. Okay. Reposting. How do you pick where to start looking for subdivisions to farm? Okay, yeah, so that's what we just went over. So let's start, like, go on the MLS or start looking on Zillow. I mean, even if you don't have access to the MLS, go on Zillow or go on to realtor.com. These are all free. And then and then when you do that, like start looking for houses like that are, you look for houses that are $100,000 or less, but focus on like, I would say focus on $80,000 or less. But I don't know your area, whatever area, maybe you're in San Francisco, like you can't, you know what I'm saying? So like, or maybe, I don't know where you're at. Where are you at anyways, Mark? But essentially, you know, in your area, like I saw some Illinois, West Virginia, and maybe Minnesota, so wherever city that you're in, you know those areas in your city that are this kind of price range. Where is all the affordable housing, the older affordable houses in your area? Those are the areas that you want to farm and look through. Okay. Is it necessary to use a contractor? Okay, yeah, so it depends on the type of work that your contractor is a contractor. A GC and a contractor are two different things. Okay, so a GC is like, it's going to manage like the full rehab for you. And like, you're not going to do anything. Like they do all the work for you. Okay. I use GCs. Guess why? Because my time and effort is all about like finding money and finding properties. All right. So I delegate that work off. I don't want to be the project manager. I don't want to be the contractor. So I delegate it off to a GC and I hire them. Now it costs more money to use a GC, but I hire them because I don't want to do that work. I don't want to be like calling Home Depot and driving around and stuff like that. So you have to think about like your time, the value of your time, right? The more that I invest, the longer that I'm investing, the more I'm asking myself, like, how much money am I going to be making for what I'm doing, right? And, and essentially my goal in life is to not work and still be making money, right? So essentially what you have to be doing is like, what is going to be making you money? Is driving around and hiring a handyman and going to Home Depot going to be making you money? Or is it, and plus it's also like, it's all your personality. I mean, what do you want this to be, a hobby, or do you want this to be a business? So if you want it to be a business, run it like a business, okay? All right. Do you tell them what you'll buy? No. You just say, I'm going to buy your house for cash. She's asking, what do you put in the letter? I'd like to buy, and actually make it personal. So I always say something like, my husband and I are looking for a house in your area. This is our first house. And we're really interested in buying a house right in this area. Would you be interested in talking to us about selling? We have cash. We're ready to close right now. And so you make it like that little tiny, it doesn't have to be like super personal, like, hey, my name is Stacy and I was born in like 1976 and I got a daughter and all this kind of stuff, right? But it's just like that little one sentence. It's like, hey, like my wife and I, or my daughter and I, or like, I'm looking for a house for my daughter right now. Something like this. Are we marketing to all the houses bunched in a subdivision group area? Are we marketing to those? No, all houses, all houses. All houses in the entire subdivision, all right? Make a list of every single house, and you're gonna just like randomly message and text people and just see if they wanna sell. That's what you're gonna be doing. And I was so funny because I was talking to that guy that's doing like the 200,000 texts, and he's like, I will tell you that we don't focus on motivated or unmotivated sellers anymore. We just text everybody. He's like, we get so much business from people that weren't even thinking about selling, right? And they say like, oh, this was like a message from God. Like, this is something that, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, but like, I think we really do need to sell this house. And like that kind of stuff, he said, happens all the time. And this is true with me as well too. Like I have houses where people like, they never thought about selling at all. And then I'll send them some letter. And back in the day, it was just a letter. So now you can like text and all, do all the cool stuff, right? But the letter honestly works the best. So make sure you letter, text, and email if you want to do that, and call and voice message. So do all 5 touches, right? Because the truth is like nowadays, like 10 years ago, there was no like social media and stuff. Nowadays, you just don't really know what people's like forte is for communication. Like I'm an email person, right? So send me an email and I'll read it, right? But if you text and message me and Facebook and all this stuff, it's just kind of like, it's always, I was like, I gotta answer this person, right? So, but some people want to talk on the phone. Some people want to email, right? Okay. Okay, what else? If the house is a rental, should we send the letters to the owner's mailing address instead of the property address? Well, you know what? I just mailed it to everybody there, but you could, if you want to, skip trace and see like if there are like any absentee owners there. But you know, there's not going to be like in a whole subdivision of 100 houses, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 are going to be like absentee owners, right? So like what will happen is like, let's just say that it does go to like a renter, right, at that house. Either they're going to just throw it away, or if you want to skip trace and try to see if you can figure out if there are unoccupied or absentee owners, you can just mail it directly to the house. I never did that. I just mailed it to everybody's house, and then whoever called me, and I would just follow up every month or every couple of months on that. Do you use stagers or leave the property as a blank canvas? Now, I don't know if you need stagers or not. You tell me. You know, and I think the market is so crazy that, well, I mean, it really kind of depends. It really depends on what area too, as well. But you know, at one point, like most of the time, I use stagers. I would say, like, of all the past 10 years I've been investing in real estate, probably 80% of the time I always staged my houses, and I would put that into the budget. But there was one time when, like, I think 2017, 18, when the market was just ridiculously crazy. Like, you'd put it on the market and get like 10 offers. And I was like, why stage? It's going to cost me like $2,000. And I would just want to save my money. Right. So I'm not sure like how the market is right now, and especially in your area. Some markets are like crazy and some markets are like horrible. You know what I'm saying? So you have to figure out in your market if it's worth it or not. That's the thing. Okay, cool, good. All right, what else? Any other final questions? Anything else? Let's see. Warren says, where do you get your letters and VAs? My letters, where do I get my letters? The letters are just like, you know, just like a typical, like you can just Google like yellow letter to see like what kind of give an idea, but it's a letter that we wrote. Like I said, I write like, you know, my husband and I are interested in buying your house. We're looking for our first property in your area, and we have cash. Would you be interested in selling? Something like that. And then the VAs, I always find my VAs on Upwork. Okay, they're always on Upwork. Okay. So that's how I do it. You post out a job and then you'll get like a gazillion people. Or you can go, actually you can do Fiverr. Fiverr.com as well is a good place to find, like if you have just like this task right here to go onto Zillow and get somebody to make a list of all your subdivisions, that's totally like a Fiverr thing as well. You could find like somebody like that's a very like Fiverr is very task oriented, whereas Upwork is kind of like long term. Okay. Okay, cool, good. Any final questions? Anything else before we head out? Okay, cool. All right, I'll make sure, like I said, check out stacyrossetti.com, get all my free trainings, follow me every Tuesday, 5 o'clock, I have a webinar, and make sure that you can follow me on like Facebook, social media, and then you can see on the events calendar, you can see when all the webinars are coming out, okay? You can sign up for those. Let's see, any questions? Do you send handwritten letters? No, we handwrite the envelope, but we do not handwrite the letters. We just print them out, put them into a nice colored envelope, and mail them off. Okay. Okay, good. Any other final questions? Anything else? Okay. All right, awesome. All right, well, thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys at the next webinar, okay? All right, take care. Bye.